Alrighty, everybody. It is currently Wednesday, January 15th. Birthday to three of the most influential men who have ever called this planet home, who have ever called this country home, quite frankly. And I mean, it's really the only country that has ever mattered. I mean, if you call America home and you're influential, you're the most influential person in the world. But it's my birthday. It's Pitbull's birthday, and it's like some fucking black dude. I don't, probably some like gangbanger or rapper or something. It's his birthday too, but that doesn't really matter, dude, because today, on this day, we got the new mic. Of course, everyone can hear that. If it does sound better, hit me up. If it doesn't, also hit me up. Cause I'm gonna fucking return this thing if it doesn't sound any better. I don't know. I tested it, and I've never listened to this podcast before. I know how vain I make myself sound, but I just can't, dude. My voice is so fucked up. I'm 21 years old today, and I sound like I'm 12, dude. The numbers have been flipped around. That's how I'm sounding, but I mean, I don't know. I think it's gonna be a fine birthday. You know what I mean? Just like every other day. Just watch Outdoor Boys and suck down Zins. I mean, that's as good as it gets. I don't think it gets any better than that. You know what I mean? Completely zero stress in my life. The semester's just starting out, so it's like, yeah, I could like stress myself out about all this bullshit. Be like, oh, I'm gonna fail this, and it's like, all right, if you fail the class, you fail the class. I'm out of this bitch anyway, so who cares? But yeah, I guess let me know how this sounds. But there has been one sign that it might not be the best day for me, and that is the fact that just before this podcast, I went and I took a shit. And I could feel it in me, dude. I could feel this was a nice, you know what I mean? Not too hard, not too soft, just right. All right, just like the little bear's bed. And I went and I took this shit and it went out smooth. One push. One sustained long, you know what I mean? Not like a short like a poo, but like a you know what I mean? Like a like a Mongolian throat singing shit. But when I went to look down at my creation, like God did when he gazed upon Sodom and Gomorrah, dude. Sodom and Gomorrah were in my toilet. It was one long shit. I could feel it was one long shit, and I could look at it and I could observe this shit, and I could tell that it had broken in half. It was one long shit that had broken in half, and that just it was disappointing to say the least. I mean, this could have been, you know what I mean? I always send pictures of my longest shits or just like crazy shits to my friends because obviously poop is funny. You know what I mean? But this one was just, it was not noteworthy. It didn't appear noteworthy, but I could tell, dude, it had potential. So I gazed upon my Sodom and Gomorrah with sorrow in my heart, dude. I mean, just on the verge of tears. And I flooded it like God did to Sodom and my little. That's the name of my shit today, dude. I dropped the Sodom and Gomorrah shit. Um, yeah, but for the birthday episode, I don't know. I was thinking about doing another creature feature, but we just hit the dodo, and I was like, we can't do another one. And this one was too similar. You know what I mean? So I decided not to do that. Instead, we are talking about the Empire State Building. All right. So I'm just gonna get into it with our first little tidbit of information on this episode, and that is it is the second building to reach 1,000 feet. And if you're wondering what the first did, it is the Chrysler Building in Chicago, which just goes to show, dude, that Midwest superiority. All right, it's the coastal elites. They're just they don't got the work ethic in them. They might come up with better ideas, but they don't got that dog in them like the Midwest boys do. All right, and that's how we beat them to it. We built the Chrysler Building. I think that one's still. It's got to definitely still be standing. That's like one of those buildings that like the government keeps to like stay upright or like pays to keep staying upright. There, no one's listening at this point, so I don't really give a shit, dude. I can mumble and stumble as long as I want, but I do have this mic in my hand. You know what I mean? I'm feeling like a stand up. I might as well pace around back and forth, do some act outs, you know what I mean? Like Dave Chappelle or something. I mean, I talk about the Jews and trans people enough to at this point I am Dave Chappelle, dude. I'm the white Dave Chappelle. And I've also almost said the word quite a few. I've almost said the word as much as he's probably said the word in his life, you know what I mean? Cuz he's not a full blown you know what I mean? He's married to an Asian dude. If you're a black dude who's married to a white woman, I think that might make you blacker. But if you're a black dude that's married to an Asian, that definitely makes you less black. Because Asian people are more white than like the average American white person is. That makes sense. And you guys might be wondering what I mean by that. And I'll just come right out and say it. I think white people are better. We're getting this birthday. The fact that everyone listening to this could know my birthday, but I don't know. No one's listening to this that I don't know, so I don't really give a shit. But you know what I mean? They know my birthday. They know roughly the state I live in. They could track my ass down, dude. They might get me. That dude. I'm holding this mic zesty as hell right now. I just double gripped it. I had to throw the other hand off real quick. But we're on to our next episode, or not our next point about the Empire State Building. And that's the fact that the land was bought and the plan was devised all in 1929. So I mean, these guys saw those Chicagoans building up that Chrysler Building, just fucking wind whipping in their face, tearing off their skin as they fucking advanced the elevation of this thing, and they were like, "Fuck, dude, we got to get on it." Um, so yeah, the construction took 13 months from March 1930 to May 1931, and it did beat out the Chrysler Building in Chicago. So they got beat, dude. And the crazy thing about Chicago having that tall ass building is it's like the third biggest city, and it's not even close to New York, dude. I don't know what the fuck they were doing in New York. It's just the fact that they think they're still in Europe. I think that's the problem with like the Northeast and shit, or not all of the Northeast, but like those big cities in the Northeast. They're still like, oh, I'm Italian or I'm Irish, and it's like, dude, you're all American now, all right. And that's the thing about the Midwest, all right, is that we understand what goddamn country we live in. We're not like you guys over there. Some of the people here, I will say, I don't think they realize what country they're in, dude. The way some of these people dress out here. I got a pair of evil fucking like Arab twins that go to my school and they dress the exact same and they like hold hands when they walk and stuff. It's crazy. I get scared every time I see them. And it's like we're kind of in the Shining out here. It's not as mountainous. It's a lot more boring looking than The Shining, dude. Like if The Shining took place in North Dakota, that would be a lot more convincing than like I've been to Colorado. Now granted, I did go in the summer when there was no snow on the ground and shit, but I still went up, dude. It's like the most beautiful place. It's like I was in awe the entire time I was there. You know how like you can like kind of get used to things after a few, dude, it's not like that. It's insane up there. And that's probably why the people there are like so like weird, you know what I mean? Or like their minds are just they're not same with LA. Like LA, it's a beautiful city and it has like amazing weather all the time. So I think the people there, and same with fucking Denver and like the surrounding area, their minds have just like gone numb with just seeing and experiencing beauty all the time, dude. Like, you know what I mean? That's why they're all like crazy political and shit like that. Same with the people who live in like Utah. Like the reason the Mormons are just so blank, you know what I mean? Like when they look out and they stare, you know what I mean? That Mormon stare they all have, or not all of them, but a fair amount of them have. It's just they're so used to like the beauty of where they live and also the fact that they're in. So I think that's why the Midwest was the first city ever to build a building 1,000 feet plus. And God, you know what I mean? The Jews think they're the chosen people. I think that God, 4,000 years ago, I think this actually happened. He promised. He went down to like all these peasants in fucking wherever they were, dude. Europe? I don't know. Somewhere in Europe, and he went down to these dudes and he told like these cavemen, dude, they were dancing around with some deer antlers on their head, and he told them that this was their chosen land. They were like, it's flat and it's gray. That's beautiful. That's exactly what we wanted. These amazing forests that we live in that are full of life and wilderness. We don't want that. We want a flat gray expanse on which we can grow corn. We just want to erode the earth as quickly as possible. Um, God damn it, dude. Um, but yeah. Anyway, so like I said, construction took 13 months, and then due to the Great Depression in World War II, it did not make profit until I wrote 1930, but the answer is 1950. See, even I correct myself sometimes, and the way I said that made me feel like a game show host for a second because I was holding the mic up, and I was like, "Nope, that's wrong. The answer is 1950." Um, but yeah, so they just got fucked over for a decent minute there. Um, which I mean, that would suck if you were like a person who had like lived through the Great Depression and you went and served in World War II and you came back and you also lived through the Great Depression. And there was just this monument to like gaudiness because it's built in the Art Deco style. And I was gonna do Art Deco, but that's like too much shit, you know? You know what I mean? So I just went with the Empire State Building, but like the Art Deco, that's from like the Gilded Age, they call it. And what Gilded is, it's like you take a bunch of like cheap metal, like incredibly, incredibly cheap metal, and then you just like dip it in gold. And that's what gilding is. And this is from the Gilded Age, and that's why they call it the Gilded Age, because on the outside, it looked really good, but like once you got in there, it was kind of shit. And so the Empire State Building, yes, it is like a monument, like an icon of New York or whatever, but it is also a monument to fucking poor people that were just eating like the hardest bread you've ever had in your life, dude. Like those dudes that buy like that special gum and like those like mouth exercise things, which is the gayest thing you can do, dude. Trying to have a sharp jawline, just go full Gillis, dude. Go full Gillis and just let your cheeks sag, dude. I might get an upper cheek lift so that I can look more like Shane Gillis, dude. Just more masculine. Not even masculine, just straight as hell, dude. Like my mouth never does. I don't talk. I don't fucking, you know what I mean? The only thing I use my mouth for is drinking beer. All right. Let me get 2 beers right now. I'm going somewhere and I ain't trying to be sober. um that's the Midwest in me coming out. um but yeah, this is a monument to the state of New York, but it is also a monument to, I don't know, a lot of dudes probably fell off this thing making it. They probably showed up, you know what I mean, 3 whiskeys deep, which that's standard back then, dude. That's probably why no buildings were built more than 1,000 feet before like that point in history, because everyone had to drink alcohol all the time so that they didn't die of like botulism or whatever, dude. So these dudes probably still living in the past a little bit. Showed up 3 whiskeys, but let's be honest, probably 8 or 9 whiskeys deep, and just zero skill. They were just freestyling. I don't know how that building's still standing. They must have like just used these guys as like chimps, dude. Just put them through like a 2-month course, hit them with the fucking Clockwork Orange, just opened their eyes and made them watch instructional videos, and that's definitely not what they made them do, dude. Because I've worked the jobs before where you're like dealing with a little bit of heavy machinery. It's a forklift. I mean, anyone could. I don't know why I'm acting like I'm like I'm dealing with excavators and stuff. The only time I've ever worked a real job in my life. But yeah, we got to go through all these in these videos, and these dudes, not these videos, these dudes just pulled up 3 whiskeys deep, lunch pail full of hard ass bread and beans with a little bit of mold on them, and made a monument that has stood the test of time, and it really hasn't stood the test of time. It's lasted 90 years, which is a long time, but I don't know, the fucking how long did like the Parthenon last and shit? The Great Pyramids of Giza, which everyone like talks about how impressive that shit is. It's just a pile of rock. They're like, "Oh, it was so tall." And it's like, "Yeah, cuz it had like the widest base of any building that was built at the time." So, and it's not even a building. There's like one room in the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's like if I poured a bunch of concrete or whatever, just stacked a bunch of fucking things on top of them and put one room in it, and everyone's like, "It's the tallest build." It's like, no, dude, it's a pile of concrete that you fucking jackhammered a hole into, dude. It's just, it's just it's just filled with jizz covered posters and old socks, dude. That's what I might do. I might build the tallest building in the world, surpass the Burj Khalifa, and just put one goon room in there, dude. Just make the Goon Cave of Solitude. Just at the very tippy top of it. Just the wind whipping in my face. My phone flies out of my hand. I'm watching Goon compilation number 13 on my phone, and it just flies out of my hand, and some lucky soul below gets to watch Adriana Chechnik eat her own ass or whatever, dude. um, so if you want to know my birthday plans, that's it right there, dude. We're just gooning to Adriana Chechnik. But yeah, so it was, and this is another kind of funny thing. So it was the tallest building in New York City until the World Trade Centers were built. And then after 9/11, it was the tallest until 2012, which was the One World Trade Center, dude. But I could imagine, like, I imagine, like, there's some, like, manager or, like, CEO or whatever who, like, is in charge of tourism and runs the building. And he's like, dude, we're getting beat up by these fucking towers. I wish those things would just go down. He was just, like, looking out of his office one day thinking about how, like, these 2 fucking buildings surpassed us. And then he just saw the planes go in, and he was like, "Oh shit!" And then he was like, "Oh shit, dude, we are fucking." He was probably so hyped that those buildings went down, and it's another thing too that it's like those buildings, like I was talking about, just a big gray concrete box. That's what the World Trade Centers were, dude. It was just a gray. It was just filled with asbestos and just pure grayness. The most depressing place. Those are better fit for the Midwest than they are for New York. Yeah, that's more of a Chicago building than like a New York City building. But Chicago's pretty sick looking. But like the air of Chicago, you know what I mean? Like I've been there and it's like I don't know. I went there when I was really young, but it's one of those gray ass hoodies. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a Chongqing. Chongqingo, that's what we'll call it. But yeah, dude, he was probably so fucking hyped. He's like, dude, we're the sickest looking one, and now we're the tallest again, which that is crazy. That for 40 years they couldn't beat it. But now it's the seventh tallest building in New York. So yeah, that must suck for them again. And it's not like all the buildings taller than it. I didn't look at all of them, but like the One World Trade Center it does look pretty sick, and it's 1776 feet tall. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And then fucking yeah, I don't know the rest of them, but they're all modern though. So I mean, it's still got that going for it. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Israel may the Israelis may dance again. Who knows what's gonna happen, dude? I can imagine right now in this room, dude, or in a room, the manager or whatever, the Empire State Building, he's planning some shit out, dude. He's getting the money ready, getting ready to pay off some dude whose name is like 18,000 syllables and like 10 words long. You know what I mean? Alzir Asamali Elakhaset or whatever, dude. But I wonder if the Empire State Building has been updated like some of these other buildings. Like at my school, in the tunnels, dude. We have tunnels at my school, which is another dead giveaway as to where I go to school. But we do get some tunnels underneath that you can travel and fucking hide around corners and scare women, dude, and chase women down the tunnels, dude. It's my favorite pastime. You know what I mean? I go to the tunnels, I turn off all the lights, and I go, I'm gonna get you. That's my favorite thing to do. But we got these tunnels down there, and I was searching the tunnels for a beautiful baby I could scare. And as I was searching these tunnels, dude, I came across the lactation room, and I was thinking about like how funny it would be to like go to like the whatever, like the president or like the chancellor of the school, and like complain that I went in the so I was peeking in the lactation room, as you do, you know what I mean. I was hoping to catch a glimpse of some dog-titted woman feeding her screaming child, and I noticed that there was no milking table in there, and just being pissed as hell at this like and just trying to like outlive the school, being like, "Are you kink shaming me? Are you saying that I'm a bad person for wanting a leather-bound woman named Anastasia to slowly, sensually, and with some pain jerk me off to completion in that room? Are you kink shaming me? Put a fucking put a milking table in the lactation room, dude. Everybody's got milk." And I was thinking about how funny it is that it's called the lactation room, because there's no like greater evidence as to why like the birth rate in America is declining than the fact that it's called the lactation room. It's like, dude, of course people aren't having kids when you're like preoccupying them with all these most people aren't meant to know that many words. You should know like 4 words, like food, shit, sex, and then like maybe, you know what I mean, a couple others. Drugs. I mean, those are really all you need. But now we're preoccupying people with lactation and shit, dude. That's the titty room. You know what I mean? Throw a milk bottle on there and a baby sucking on that thing on there. It should mostly be pictures. Let's be honest here, it should mostly be pictures. It would be funny if they put a picture of like a man with or a woman, well, like a trains with a beard, like a Buck Angel type, you know what I mean? Just like flat chested, but they still left the milk part in the titty. Just just a baby suckling on that thing, dude. That that would be hilarious. Just a man breastfeeding his child. A bearded woman, dude. That might be like the ultimate for babies, now that I'm thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like how they like wrap babies up to make them feel warm and stuff. But if you're like a Buck Angel type, you know what I mean? You got the beard, the chest hair, the fucking like arm hair, you know what I mean? All that stuff. That's kind of already a blanket, dude. Maybe I think if you go what is it, M to F, like male to female trans, I feel like you're going backwards, you know what I mean? Because you're not really turning into a woman. You know what I mean? Controversial take here. Besides that one from Euphoria, dude. God damn. God damn. But if you go from F to M, dude, you still have all the parts. That's a deadly machine. Could you imagine like the mental wherewithal and like capacity of a woman, like the just the sharpness and like the ability to attack anything and everything around you, combined with the physical strength of a man? You know, I think FTMs are the future of society in more ways than one. Like if I was, you know what I mean, when we were talking about the Ice Age survival guide, I talked about how we had to get our fuck pigs, dude. We might have to get some FTM fuck pigs. We might have to bring some buck angels with us, you know what I mean? Because they can still have the kids, but they're sturdy. You know what I mean? They can fight as long as they can keep the. Maybe does it stop working if they stop taking hormones? I don't really know how that works. But dude, if we could get Buck Angel, I would take Buck Angel on my side no matter the situation. I mean, quite frankly, that dude fucking like went through hell. Just came out the ultimate. He came out Jocko. You know what I mean? He was like a prostitute getting his or her whatever when Buck Angel was like full chick mode, you know, and hot too, by the way, dude. Buck Angel was so fucking and Buck Angel's still a hunk. You know, it's Buck. If you don't know what Buck looks like, it's kind of like how J.K. Simmons looks now. That's what we're dealing with Buck. Um, but just getting her ass beat on the street as like a prostitute and then coming out Jocko, dude, she went through SEAL training. You know what I mean? Like getting choked out by your pimp. That's basically, don't they like waterboard the SEALs or something? I'm gonna say it. Buck could have been a SEAL. Buck could have been the greatest SEAL. Buck might have gotten Osama, dude. It might have been Osama versus Buck. God damn, dude. Could you imagine how pissed Osama would have been if Buck got his ass, dude? If Buck got Osama, we'd the Empire State Building would be the tallest building in New York again. I'll say that right now. If Buck took out Osama, they'd be sending plane after plane at us, dude. I don't know if they would tell, dude, because Buck is just that much of a beast, dude. Pull up Buck Angel, and but he's got like the Dwayne or not Dwayne the Rock Johnson. What's that guy's? Dave Bautista. You know, like those weird, like they kind of look like the Polynesian tribe, but not really the Polynesian tribal tattoos. He's got like those on his arms and shit, dude, and just fucking alpha as hell, dude. And the pecs look pretty real. He might have some implants in there. He might have some nice square tit implants in there. But dude, Buck's the man. Buck's a beast, dude. Um but back to the Empire State Building. So it was designed to be a cultural icon. Like they had that in mind. It wasn't like a pure like functional building. Like I was talking about with the One World Trade Centers, how they're just kind of like these square like concrete and steel buildings. It's not like that. It was meant to like look sick as hell. Um and it was also meant to like attract tourists and stuff, which it does. Apparently 4 million people go through that building every fucking day. And I was looking up as to whether it had apartments in it or not. It doesn't. And so I was like, dude, that's probably the right call on that one. Because 4 million people coming through your building every day. I don't know. But it could also be like, if you're like a if you're like a real perv, you know what I mean? You like cut a hole through your wall, you know what I mean? You drill a nice little hole out there and you just peep out there and just whatever you're into, dude. Dudes, chicks, fucking you guys know what I was thinking. But dudes, chicks, fucking old, fat, skin, whatever you're into, dude, it's gonna be walking past your wall. So there might be like some absolute perv who's like holed up in the walls of the Empire State Building, just like pressed between two pieces of drywall, just shimmying side to side. You know what I mean? Pressing his fucking his semi-hard penis into the wall, just watching whatever he can walk by, dude. I could just imagine him. He sees like some whatever he's into, dude, like some old fat black woman in her like wheelchair, like just like going by, or her not even wheelchair, where the ruckus scooters, the Walmart scooters, just slowly driving by him, and he's like, dude, fucking target identified, and he's like, no, she's moving too fast, and he's like shuffling through the wall trying to get another view of her, bursts out butt ass naked. Oh hell nah! Because I mean, it is. Look, it's a fat black. What is you doing here? No, that's not very good either. That's more ghetto. I'm imagining more of a southern fat black. It could be a ghetto fat black one, but I'm imagining more of a southern one. You know what I mean? Get get out of here! What you doing here? Get go on, get naked wall man. You covered in asbestos. You gonna give me mesothelioma. My husband died of that. My husband got the mesotheliomas, and I see that commercial all the time. And I said, Lord, if Lord wanted me to sue you, he'd provide me with a Jew. A Jew would knock on my door. That's what it says. Revelations 13:12. Let me quote some scripture for you, honey. If your husband dies of mesothelioma, a Jew from the Holy Land will knock upon your door. All right, that was maybe the most unfunny thing anyone's ever done. Dude, that was fucking awful. I had no idea. I just like, the bit started to go nowhere, and I was like, fuck it, dude. Time to just talk about Jews again. That's my default. Anyone that's listened to this for more than, if anyone's that has listened to this at any length, they know, dude. They know the message. Um, but the lights on the top, so it has like these searchlights on the top, and the first time they were lit up was to signify the fact that Franklin Roosevelt beat Herbert Hoover, who was like the dude who kind of like started the Great Depression, you know what I mean? He was like, "You guys don't, just pull yourself. You guys don't need any help. All right, you'll be fine. All right, just nut up, go out there. You know what I mean? Build a little shack and call it a day." But that is the guy that kind of like started the fucking Great Depression. And so when Franklin Roosevelt won, they like lit up the lights on top, and they also do it for like other elections. Like they did one for the 2012, and it was red versus blue. And then they did one. They do it for Pride every year. They do it for that dude who lives in the walls and jerks off the women. You know what I mean? I don't know what his color is. I'm not talking. I'm talking about the color that represents him, not the color of his skin. He's obviously a white dude. I mean, let's be abundantly honest. The tunneling, you know what I mean? The tunneling tendencies of the whites, the whites deep found desire to be subterranean or like squished between two small places, combined with just the general like strange horniness of it all. This is definitely a white man that we're talking about that's living in these walls. So, but I don't know what color it would be to represent him. You got to go like a asbestos white or gray. It's kind of like a whitish gray, right? Kind of like maybe a bit yellow, but like, you know what I mean? Whatever the color of asbestos is, combined with like a cum red, um, combined with like a tip of the penis pink. I think that's the color that represents the man that lives in the Empire State Building's walls and runs around gooning. Um, it's me, by the way, in case you were wondering. Um, but yeah, they began building the building before it was designed, or before the design was finalized. So they like changed it going on the way up, which is like the most 1930s thing ever. You know what I mean? They were like, dude, there's no the fucking board doesn't need to just start building it. All right, we'll fucking figure it out. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, I'll figure. Get off my fuck. Oh, you want to have a design for the 1,000-foot tall building I'm making, dude? Get off my fucking ass. Are you my mom? Shut up, dude. All right, I'm just gonna build this building. I'll figure it out when I'm going up there. It's like those people that like, I have a friend that might be listening to this that like he'll like go someplace and he'll be like, dude, I'll figure it out when I get there. Like especially parking and shit. And he's like, dude, I had to park 8 miles away. And it's like, yeah, dude, I know. But shit, I guess this worked out for the better. A few men probably did die, and their families probably got next to no compensation. I don't know. They might have been like, this is like a time in American history where it was like, we'll let you meet James Rockefeller. Yep, your husband died. You gotta shake the head, and they didn't even get to shake. They like saw him walk by, and they were like, "Wow, everything's better now." But it is white people, so let's be honest here. Doesn't fucking matter if they died or got compensation for the death. You know what I mean? All right, so yeah, the building is used for offices and tourism, and then so like I said, no apartments in there unless there's some absolute fucking fiend. Unless the rat man who lives in the walls started like a shell corporation just to support his gooning. What if there's like a billionaire, like a Batman billionaire level gooner? You know what I mean? He's got like a tool belt full of tools. He's talking to what's that? Alfred, deploy my AI powered automatic flashlight. No, do it, Wilfred or Alfred, whatever his name is, dude. And that scene in The Dark Knight where he has like the echolocation, all the screens and stuff, but it's just like AI, like security cameras looking for titties, just drones flying around straight to women's chest, like a little robot arm comes out. He throws the batarang and just a fucking a roofie's deployed into a woman's mouth. That is more likely if you think about it, what like a billionaire Batman would do. He'd definitely not be using his like quietness and his stealth. He'd definitely be using it to like go into women. That's what the plot of the fucking Invisible Man movie is. So it's like some dude living in an attic like jerking off or whatever. Um but and I was looking at the offices that call the Empire State Building home, and we got two human rights organizations, and I was like, dude, that's fucking crazy. Could you imagine? Like, you're some like starving kid in Zimbabwe or whatever, and you're like, they're coming to help us, and it's like, no, dude, there's no money for rice left. All right, we had to pay fucking $1 million a month in rent to have our offices in an Art Deco building, and like the most like it doesn't. I don't get it. There's no way like they're somehow getting money off that, dude. This was definitely like some rich dude's wife who decided to put the fucking things there, the offices there. She was like, sorry, Mbake. All right, there's not enough money in the budget for rice. I spent it all on Xanax, wine, and an office that's populated by me and all my girlfriends in the Empire State Building. All right, there's a rat man in the walls, but that doesn't matter. It's iconic. All right, you don't understand. The tallest building in your country is I don't know, dude. I couldn't think of one, dude. Is a stick building filled with chickens, all right? There's no office. There's just chickens laying eggs in the tallest building in your country. God damn it, dude. Yeah, that's all I've got for this episode. I've got a class to go to soon anyways. What time is it? Oh shit, we got like 15 minutes before class. But that's all I've got for this episode. As always, have a wonderful day, wonderful week, wonderful year, wonderful semester, wonderful time at work. I don't know, dude. Doesn't matter, but hope wherever you are, you're having a good time. All right, that's all I've got. Peace.